The arena stretched across 5 kilometers of reinforced metal and energy shields. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the edge of the observation deck, watching alien warriors demonstrate their strength. Her reflection stared back from the transparent barrier. She looked small compared to the creatures below. A Krathax warrior stepped into the fighting circle. His exoskeleton gleamed under the artificial lights. He stood 3 meters tall, with 4 arms and legs built like steel pistons. The crowd of alien spectators made clicking and humming sounds. Sarah's translator implant turned it into cheers. The test began. Energy bolts flew at the Krathax from hidden cannons. Each bolt moved faster than sound. The warrior's arms blurred. He caught the first bolt in his upper right hand. The second bolt he deflected with his lower left arm. The third and fourth he grabbed simultaneously. The arena erupted in approval. Sarah took notes on her datapad. She had been watching these trials for 3 days. Humanity's application to join the Council of United Sectors depended on passing these tests. So far, every human who tried had failed. Impressive, are they not? A voice said beside her. Sarah turned. Ambassador Wei stood there, his face tired. He had spent 20 years trying to get humanity into the Council. This was his last chance before retirement. They're strong, Sarah agreed. But strength isn't everything. Try telling them that. Wei gestured at the council members in their observation box. 5 different species sat there, watching with multiple types of eyes. They've rejected us 4 times. They say humans are too fragile, too slow, too weak. Below, the Krathax warrior finished his demonstration. He raised all 4 arms in victory. The crowd loved it. War Master Vector entered the arena next. He was the champion of his species. His exoskeleton had scars from 100 battles. He carried himself like a king. Honored council members, Vector's voice boomed through speakers. I will now demonstrate why the Krathax are the finest warriors in known space. I will show you our newest weapon, the Void Seeker missile. Sarah leaned forward. She had heard rumors about this weapon. A platform rose from the arena floor. On it sat a sleek missile, black as space itself. It hummed with contained energy. The Void Seeker tracks its target through 7 dimensions, Vector explained. It adjusts its path faster than any organic being can react. It cannot be dodged. It cannot be blocked. And it certainly cannot be caught. He pressed a control. The missile launched at a training dummy across the arena. Sarah watched carefully. The missile's path curved and twisted in ways that seemed to break physics. It struck the dummy and exploded in a controlled burst. No weapon in the galaxy can be caught mid-flight, Vector declared. This proves the Krathax understand warfare better than any species, especially better than the humans who seek to join our council. Angry heat rose in Sarah's chest. She kept her face calm. He's baiting us, Wei whispered. Don't react. But Sarah was already thinking. She watched as they reset the missile for another demonstration. This time, Vector himself stood in the arena. The missile launched. At the last possible moment, Vector dodged. The missile tried to adjust. But Vector was already moving again. It missed by centimeters. You see? Vector laughed. Even I cannot catch it. I can only avoid it. And I am the greatest warrior alive. Sarah's mind raced. She had studied physics at the academy. She had spent 10 years as a combat engineer, disarming bombs and calculating trajectories. She knew something the Krathax didn't. Everything follows patterns. Even chaos has rules. Ambassador, Sarah said quietly, I want to try. Wei's eyes widened. Sarah, no. That missile killed 3 construct mind robots during testing. It's designed to be impossible to stop. I'm not going to stop it, Sarah said. I'm going to catch it. That's suicide. It's mathematics. Sarah was already heading toward the stairs. Tell the council that humanity requests one trial, just one. Wei grabbed her arm. If you fail, we're done. Humanity gets rejected permanently, no more chances. Sarah met his eyes. If I don't try, we've already lost. They'll never respect us if we don't take risks. She pulled away and walked down to the arena level. Her boots echoed on the metal floor. Every step felt heavy. She knew what failure meant. Earth needed the Council's help. The Devourers were attacking human colonies in the outer systems. Without Council resources and allies, humanity would fight alone. But she also knew what she had seen. The missile wasn't truly random. Nothing was. The arena doors opened. Sarah walked into the bright lights. Thousands of alien eyes watched her. The Council members leaned forward in their seats. Vector stood in the center of the arena, his mandibles spreading in what might have been a smile. A human volunteer, he said mockingly. How brave, how foolish. Sarah ignored him. She walked to the control panel and studied the Void Seeker missile. Up close, it was beautiful in a deadly way. Sensors covered its surface. The quantum core pulsed with blue light. You understand this will likely kill you? Vector asked. Your species has no exoskeleton. Your bones are weak. Your reflexes are slow. I understand the risks, Sarah said calmly. She pulled off her jacket and rolled up her sleeves. On her forearms were small metal bands, her personal microgravity field generators. Most aliens thought they were just decorations. Humans had learned to hide their best technology. Council members, Sarah called out, I request permission to attempt the interception trial. There was silence. Then a voice spoke from the council box. It belonged to a Sharnai, a being made of living crystal. Permission granted. But know this, human. If you fail, your species will be deemed unworthy. If you succeed... The Sharnai paused. Well, that would be unprecedented. Sarah walked to the center of the arena. The missile platform moved into position, 20 meters away. She could see Vector shaking his head in disbelief. Configure it for maximum difficulty, Sarah said. Vector's eyes widened. You're insane. I'm thorough. Sarah took her position. She spread her feet shoulder-width apart. She raised her hands, palms forward. Launch when ready. The arena fell silent. Even the background hum of the shield seemed to fade. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. She thought of her grandmother, a baseball player who could catch anything. She thought of her training. Hundreds of hours calculating explosion patterns and projectile paths. She opened her eyes. Vector pressed the launch button. The Void Seeker missile screamed to life. The missile burst from its platform with a sound like tearing metal. Sarah didn't move. Not yet. Her neural implant activated automatically. Data flooded her vision. Launch angle, 42 degrees. Initial velocity, Mach 9 and climbing. Quantum core signature, active and shifting. She had 3 seconds before it reached her. Maybe 4 if she was lucky. Time seemed to slow. Not really, but her enhanced perception made it feel that way. Every human soldier had basic neural augmentation. It helped with reaction time and data processing. The aliens had better computers, but human brains had something special. Humans were good at seeing patterns where there shouldn't be any. Sarah's mind flashed back to her childhood. She was 7 years old, standing in her grandmother's backyard. The old woman threw a baseball high into the air. Don't watch the ball, Sari, her grandmother had said. Watch where it's going to be. Young Sarah had looked confused. How do I know where it'll be? Your brain knows. Humans have been throwing and catching things for millions of years. We evolved to predict trajectories. Just trust yourself. The memory faded. Sarah was back in the arena. The Void Seeker was 1 second into its flight. Her implant showed her the missile's path as a glowing line in her vision. But the line kept changing. The quantum core made tiny adjustments, shifting the missile through different dimensions. Most beings would see chaos. Sarah saw a pattern. Another memory surfaced. She was 23 in military training. Her instructor, a grizzled veteran named Chen, stood over a table covered in explosive devices. "Ordnance disposal is about thinking like the bomb," he had said. "Every trigger follows rules. Every timer has a pattern. Find the pattern, and you can predict what happens next." Sarah had spent 10 years disarming bombs. 10 years learning that nothing was truly random. Everything followed some kind of logic, even if that logic seemed insane. The Void Seeker was 2 seconds into its flight. It zagged left, then right, then up. The quantum fluctuations looked random, but Sarah's implant was processing the data. Probability clouds formed in her vision, areas where the missile was more likely to be. The arena was so quiet, she could hear her own heartbeat. In the council box, the observers leaned forward. The Sharnai's crystal body hummed with curiosity. A Velmori, made of living gas, swirled nervously in its containment field. Even the construct mind, a purely logical artificial intelligence, seemed interested. Ambassador Wei watched from the observation deck. His hands gripped the railing. He had known Sarah for 5 years. She was brilliant, but this was beyond anything he had expected. He wanted to look away, but couldn't. Vecthor stood off to the side, his 4 arms crossed. He was certain the human would fail. She had to fail. No being in the galaxy could catch a Void Seeker. He had designed it himself specifically to be uncatchable. The missile was 3 seconds into its flight. It was close now. Sarah could see the individual sensors on its surface. They scanned her, measuring her position, her movement, her temperature. She activated the microgravity generators on her forearms. They hummed to life, creating small distortions in space around her hands. Most species used gravity technology for large applications. Humans had learned to miniaturize it. They had to. Human bodies were fragile compared to aliens. They needed every advantage. The Void Seeker's sensors detected the gravity fields. For a microsecond, its guidance system hesitated. It interpreted the distortions as spatial anomalies. Should it go around them, through them? That microsecond was all Sarah needed. Her implant showed her the densest part of the probability cloud, the spot where the missile was most likely to be in the next moment. Not certain. Just most likely. She had to bet everything on mathematics. Sarah thought of her grandmother again. The old woman had played professional baseball for 15 years. She held the record for catches in a single season. "How did you do it, Grandma?" Sarah had asked once. "I didn't think about it," the old woman had said. "I just knew." That's what separated humans from most aliens. Humans had intuition. They could feel the right answer before they calculated it. Their brains made millions of tiny predictions every second, most of them unconscious. Aliens relied on pure logic. Humans relied on something messier, something that came from millions of years of hunting and surviving. The Void Seeker entered its final second of flight. It was 5 meters away, then 3, then 1. Sarah's hands moved. She didn't think about it. Her body knew what to do. Her shoulders rotated with the unique flexibility only human joints had. Her fingers spread wide. The missile tried to juke left at the last instant, but Sarah had predicted that. Her left hand was already there. Contact. Her fingers closed around the missile's body. The microgravity fields engaged fully, trying to slow the incredible kinetic energy. Physics screamed in protest. The missile weighed 40 kilograms and was traveling at hypersonic speed. Sarah's bones began to crack. Pain exploded through her arms. She felt her radius snap, then her ulna. The force traveled up to her shoulders and her humerus bones fractured, but she didn't let go. Human pain tolerance was legendary. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. They chased prey for hours, for days, ignoring pain and exhaustion. When a human decided not to stop, physics itself had to bend. Sarah's jaw clenched. Blood vessels burst in her eyes from the strain. Her heart hammered against her ribs. The Void Seeker's guidance system went wild. It detected it had been caught. Impossible. Its programming said this couldn't happen. It tried to activate its warhead. Sarah's neural implant connected to the missile's computer. Human brains interfaced with technology in ways purely logical minds couldn't. Human thought was messy, creative, unpredictable. It could slip through security systems designed for logical attacks. She had 2 seconds before the warhead armed, maybe 3. Her implant dove into the missile's code. She didn't try to hack it properly. No time for that. Instead, she flooded it with garbage data, random numbers, corrupt files, paradoxes. Things that would confuse a logical system. The Void Seeker's computer choked on the data. Its processes crashed. The warhead deactivation sequence triggered by mistake. The missile went dead in Sarah's hands. She stood there, arms shattered, holding a 40-kilogram missile that should have been impossible to catch. Blood ran down her sleeves, dripping onto the arena floor. The silence was absolute. Then, from somewhere in the crowd, a single voice spoke in a language her translator couldn't interpret. But she knew what it meant. Impossible. Sarah raised the missile above her head. Every movement sent fresh agony through her broken arms. She didn't care. She looked directly at the council members. "Humanity doesn't need to be the strongest," she said, her voice steady despite the pain. "We just need to be clever enough." Then her legs gave out, and she fell to her knees. The missile clattered to the floor beside her. Medical alarms shrieked. The arena erupted in chaos. But Sarah smiled. She had done it. The medical team reached Sarah in seconds. They were human, thankfully. They knew how to handle human injuries. Alien doctors had tried to help humans before and usually made things worse. Different biologies, different solutions. "Commander Chen, stay still," the lead medic said. His name was Rodriguez. Sarah had worked with him before. "Your arms are badly broken." "I noticed," Sarah managed through gritted teeth. The adrenaline was wearing off. The pain was getting worse. Rodriguez pulled out a bone-knitting injector. Human medical technology had advanced rapidly over the last century. It had to. Humans broke bones all the time. Fragile skeletons were the price of flexibility. The injection site burned, then went numb. Nanobots flooded into her bloodstream, heading for the fractures. They would knit the bones back together over the next few hours. The bones would heal stronger than before, another quirk of human biology that aliens found strange. "You're insane," Rodriguez said as he worked, but he was smiling. Around them, the arena was chaos. Alien spectators made sounds of shock and confusion. Some species had no word for what they had just witnessed. Others were arguing among themselves. In the council box, the 5 members were in heated discussion. Sarah couldn't hear them from the arena floor, but she could see their agitation. Vector approached slowly. His 4 arms hung at his sides. His exoskeleton seemed less shiny somehow, as if the confidence had drained out of him. He stopped 3 meters away. For a long moment, he just stared at Sarah. Then he did something unexpected. He lowered himself into a position that Sarah's implant identified as a Krithax gesture of respect. "I did not think it possible," Vector said. His voice had lost its mocking tone. "In 300 years of warfare, I have never seen a weapon caught mid-flight. Deflected, yes. Dodged, certainly. But caught?" He shook his massive head. "Never." Sarah tried to stand. Rodriguez pushed her back down. "Stay put, Commander." "Let her stand," Vector said. "A warrior should rise after victory." Rodriguez helped Sarah to her feet. Her arms hung at her sides, useless for now. The nanobots were working, but healing took time. Vector came closer. He reached out one arm and touched Sarah's shoulder, gently for a being his size. "You have taught me something, human. Strength comes in many forms. The Krithax value power, raw force. We thought it was the only way to survive." But you showed us cleverness, strategy, sacrifice. My species learned a long time ago, Sarah said. We can't outmuscle the universe, so we outthink it. A valuable lesson. Vector straightened. I will speak to the Council on humanity's behalf. The Carthax honor strength, and I have seen yours. He walked away, his footsteps heavy on the arena floor. Sarah watched him go, surprised. She had expected anger, not respect. Ambassador Wei rushed down from the observation deck. His face was pale, but his eyes were bright. Sarah, that was the most reckless, brilliant thing I've ever seen. Did it work? Sarah asked. Will the council accept us? They're deliberating now. Wei looked at the council box. But I've never seen them this animated. Usually they reject applications quickly. This time, they're actually debating. A medical drone floated over, scanning Sarah's arms. It beeped in what Rodriguez said was approval. The bones were knitting well. In 6 hours, she would have full movement. In 12, the bones would be completely healed. Other humans from the delegation arrived. They surrounded Sarah, asking questions, congratulating her. She felt tired suddenly. The adrenaline was completely gone now. Her body wanted to sleep. Give her space, Rodriguez ordered. He set up a portable medical field around Sarah. It hummed, accelerating her healing. She needs rest. But Sarah couldn't rest. Not yet. She watched the council box, waiting. The Sharnai observer emerged first. Its crystalline body caught the light, throwing rainbows across the arena. When it spoke, its voice resonated like a bell. We have reached a preliminary decision, it announced. The arena fell silent. However, we wish to understand what we witnessed. Commander Sarah Chen, please explain how you accomplished this feat. Sarah took a breath. Public speaking wasn't her strength, but she could try. The Void Seeker missile uses quantum fluctuations to create unpredictable movement, but quantum mechanics isn't truly random, it's probabilistic. Given enough processing power, you can predict the most likely outcomes. Our computers could not predict it, a construct mind observer said. Its mechanical voice was curious, not accusatory. Your computers are more powerful than mine, Sarah agreed. But they think differently, they process linearly. Human brains process in parallel. We make thousands of intuitive calculations simultaneously. We evolved to throw spears at moving prey, to catch objects mid-air. Our brains are wired for trajectory prediction. But the physical forces, the Velmori gasped. The impact should have destroyed you. Sarah held up her broken arms. It almost did, but humans have high pain tolerance and bones that heal stronger after breaking. We also have flexible joints that can absorb rotational forces. My shoulders distributed the impact across multiple bones and tendons. And the microgravity generators? The Sharnai asked. Human innovation. We're too fragile for direct combat. So we build tools. The gravity field slowed the missile just enough for my body to handle the rest. The council members conferred again. Sarah waited. Her arms throbbed despite the medical field. She was so tired. Finally, the Sharnai spoke again. The council has made a decision. However, it is unprecedented and we must follow protocol. We will reconvene tomorrow to deliver our official response. Until then, Commander Chen, you should rest. The council members filed out. The crowd began to disperse. Sarah felt disappointment. She had hoped for an immediate answer. Wei put a hand on her shoulder. Tomorrow, he said. They're actually considering it, Sarah. That's more than we've ever gotten before. Rodriguez and his team helped Sarah to the medical bay. It was a small room off the main arena, equipped with human medical technology. They set her up in a healing pod which would speed her recovery overnight. As Sarah lay there, she thought about what came next. If the council rejected humanity, what would they do? Keep trying? Give up? Fight the devourers alone? But if the council accepted humanity, everything would change. Earth would have allies, resources, a place among the stars. She thought of the look in Vector's eyes, the respect. Maybe that was worth more than council membership. Maybe proving humanity belonged was enough, regardless of the official decision. The healing pod hummed. Sarah's eyes grew heavy. The pain in her arms faded to a dull ache. She fell asleep wondering what tomorrow would bring. Sarah woke to the sound of voices outside the medical bay. Her internal clock said she had slept for 8 hours. The healing pod had done its work. She flexed her fingers experimentally. They moved without pain. The bones had knitted perfectly. She sat up and looked at her arms. Faint lines marked where the fractures had been, but they would fade in a few days. Human bodies were good at healing. They had to be. Rodriguez entered with a tray of food. Real food, not alien nutrition paste. Scrambled eggs, toast, coffee, simple earth foods that Sarah hadn't tasted in weeks. "How do you feel?" Rodriguez asked. "Better than I expected." Sarah picked up the coffee and inhaled deeply. The smell alone was comforting. "What's happening out there?" "The whole station is talking about you. The council has been in session all night. Whatever they're deciding, it's big." Rodriguez checked her vital signs with a scanner. "Your bone density is actually higher than before. Another 24 hours, and you'll be at full strength." "I don't have 24 hours. The council meets in 2 hours." "Then eat. You'll need the energy." Sarah ate quickly. The food tasted better than anything she could remember. After weeks of trying to be diplomatic and careful, it felt good to just be herself. Ambassador Wei arrived as she finished. He looked like he hadn't slept at all. "The council is ready. They want you present for the decision." "That's unusual, isn't it?" "Everything about this is unusual." Wei handed her a fresh uniform. "They've invited representatives from 20 different species to observe. Word has spread across the station. Everyone wants to see what happens next." Sarah changed and followed Wei through the corridors. Other humans from the delegation joined them. Scientists, soldiers, diplomats, all of them carrying humanity's hope. The council chamber was much larger than the observation box at the arena. It was a massive sphere with seating for thousands. Today, it was full. Aliens of every type filled the seats. The air hummed with translated conversations. Sarah and the human delegation took their assigned seats near the center. Around them sat representatives from other species. Sarah recognized some from her studies: the insectoid Klackthar, the aquatic Dramani in their water-filled suits, the energy-based Photari, glowing softly in their containment fields. Many of them nodded to Sarah as she passed. Some made gestures her translator identified as signs of respect. A few looked hostile. Change always created enemies. The council members entered from 5 different doors. Each moved to their designated platform. The Sharnai's crystal body, the Velmori's gas form, the Construct Mind's mechanical frame, and 2 others. A Trevalian, tall and plant-like, and a Morpheus, a shapeshifter that currently looked like liquid metal. The Sharnai spoke first, its voice resonating through the chamber. "We gather to render judgment on humanity's application to join the Council of United Sectors. This decision has been difficult. We have spent the night in debate and consultation." Sarah's heart pounded. This was it. Humanity's performance in the trials was extraordinary. The Sharnai continued. "Commander Sarah Chen accomplished what our experts deemed impossible. She caught a Void Seeker missile. In doing so, she demonstrated capabilities we did not know existed." The Construct Mind's mechanical voice added, "Our analysis of the event has revealed several facts. First, human neural architecture processes probability differently than other known species. Second, human pain tolerance exceeds all biological species on record. Third, human adaptability and tool use represents a unique approach to problem solving. The Velmori swirled in its field. However, we must also consider the risks. Humans are fragile. Commander Chen broke both arms in her demonstration. Can such a species truly contribute to galactic security? Murmurs spread through the crowd. Sarah felt the delegation tense around her. The Trevallion spoke, its voice like wind through leaves. Fragility is not weakness. The Trevallions grow from seeds, vulnerable to the smallest pest. Yet we have survived for millions of years. We have learned that survival requires more than strength. The question, the Morpheus said, shifting into a more humanoid shape, is whether humanity can offer something unique to the Council. We have warriors. We have strategists. We have countless species with various strengths. What do humans bring that we lack? The Sharnai turned to Sarah. Commander Chen, you may speak. Sarah stood. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself to stay steady. Thousands of alien eyes watched her. Honored council members, she began. Humanity offers perspective. Every species here has evolved in different ways. You've all become strong or fast or intelligent in specific areas. But humans evolved in a unique environment. We had no natural weapons, no armor, no venom or claws. We survived by being adaptable, by solving problems creatively. She paused, gathering her thoughts. When my species first looked at fire, we didn't run. We learned to control it. When we saw birds flying, we didn't give up. We built machines to fly ourselves. When we reached space and met species stronger and faster than us, we didn't hide. We learned. We adapted. We found our own way. Pretty words, a voice called from the crowd. It was a Klackthar, its mandibles clicking with disdain. But what practical value does this bring? Sarah met its compound eyes. You've all faced problems you couldn't solve, haven't you? The Council has existed for 10,000 years, but there are still challenges you avoid, paradoxes you can't resolve, threats you can't defeat. The chamber grew quiet. Humans specialize in impossible problems, Sarah continued. We're too stubborn to accept that something can't be done. You said the Void Seeker couldn't be caught. We caught it. You'll say other things are impossible and we'll find a way. That's what we do. That's what we've always done. Vector stood from his seat in the observation area. I speak as one who doubted humanity. I was wrong. The Kurthax will support humanity's membership. We need warriors who think differently, who see solutions we cannot imagine. Other voices joined in. The Trevallions spoke in favor. A group of Photari glowed brighter in agreement. But there were dissenting voices too. Species who feared change, who didn't want to share power. The council members conferred among themselves. The debate lasted 10 minutes that felt like hours. Finally, the Sharnai raised a crystalline appendage for silence. The council has reached a decision. By a vote of 4-1, with the Velmori abstaining, we grant humanity provisional membership in the Council of United Sectors. The chamber erupted. Cheers from some species, protests from others. The human delegation grabbed each other, tears streaming down faces. Provisional membership includes full access to council resources, the Sharnai continued over the noise. However, humanity will be on probation for 10 standard years. During this time, you will be assigned to specialized tasks, problems that other species have failed to solve. If humanity can demonstrate continued value, full membership will be granted. Sarah felt Wei grab her hand. The old ambassador was crying openly. We did it, he whispered. After 20 years, we finally did it. The construct mind spoke next. Humanity's first assignment is ready. The Devourer threat in the outer systems now becomes a council priority. Commander Chen, you will lead a joint task force to develop new defensive strategies. Sarah nodded, her throat tight with emotion. We'll need access to council military resources. Granted, you will also have representatives from 12 species assigned to your command, including a Krathax tactical unit. Vector made a gesture of salute from his seat. "This session is concluded," the Sharnai announced. "Welcome to the Council, humanity." The chamber erupted again. This time, the cheers were louder. Sarah stood there trying to process it all. Humanity had a place among the stars, not because they were the strongest, not because they were the fastest, but because they refused to give up, because they could solve impossible problems. Rodriguez appeared beside her. "Congratulations, Commander. How does it feel?" Sarah thought about all the humans who had worked for this moment. The generations who had dreamed of reaching the stars. The soldiers who had died fighting the Devourers alone. "It feels like the beginning," she said. 3 months later, Sarah stood in her new office aboard the Council Defense Station Zenith. Through the viewport, she could see Earth, a blue marble against the black of space, home. Her desk was covered with reports, mission briefings, strategic analyses, problems that needed solutions. The Council hadn't been joking about giving humanity the impossible tasks. A chime announced a visitor. "Come in," Sarah called. Vector entered, ducking slightly to fit through the human-sized door. He had visited often over the past months. Their working relationship had evolved into something resembling friendship. "Commander Chen," he said in greeting, "I bring news from the Outer Rim. The Devourers have withdrawn from the Kepler colonies." Sarah looked up, surprised. "Withdrawn? That's not like them." "No, but your strategy worked. The gravitational net traps combined with the dimensional displacement fields confused their navigation. They could not adapt quickly enough." Vector set a data pad on her desk. "Your human engineers called it fighting chaos with chaos." Sarah smiled. That sounded like her team. "How many casualties?" "Minimal. 17 injured, none killed." The Devourers lost 3 ships before retreating. Vector's mandibles spread in what Sarah had learned was a Krethak's smile. "The Council is impressed. 3 months, and you have already achieved what we could not in 3 years. We had help. The Photari provided the energy calculations. The construct minds ran the simulations. This was a team effort. You are too modest. You saw the solution. You made it real." Vector settled into the reinforced chair Sarah had installed for him. "The other council members talk about you constantly, some with admiration, some with concern." "Concern?" "You change things, Sarah Chen. Humans change things. Not everyone welcomes change." Sarah leaned back. She had learned this truth over the past months. Some species saw humanity as a breath of fresh air, new ideas, new methods, new hope. Others saw them as disruptive, dangerous even. "Change is how we survive," Sarah said. "Standing still means dying." A very human philosophy. Vector pulled out a small object from a pouch. "I brought you something. A gift from my homeworld. It was a crystal, shaped like a blade, beautiful and deadly. Among my people, this represents a warrior's bond. I give it to you as a brother in arms. You taught me that strength has many forms. I will not forget this lesson." Sarah took the crystal carefully. It was surprisingly light. "Thank you, Vector. I'll treasure it." He stood to leave, then paused. "There is something else. The Council is preparing to vote on 3 new species applications. They have asked for your input." "Me? I've only been here 3 months." "Exactly. You bring fresh perspective. The Council has become comfortable, set in their ways. Your humanity sees things we overlook." He moved to the door. "The files will be sent to you tomorrow. Consider them carefully." After he left, Sarah returned to the viewport. Earth rotated slowly below. She thought about how much had changed. Her personal communicator buzzed. A message from her grandmother. The old woman was 104 now, still sharp as ever. "Saw the news about the Kepler colonies. Proud of you, Sari. You caught another impossible thing. Love you." Sarah smiled. Her grandmother had been right all along. Don't watch where it is. Watch where it's going to be. Another chime. This time it was Rodriguez. Commander, your 1400 meeting is here. Sarah checked her schedule. Right. The new recruits. She had requested permission to train a joint human-alien tactical unit. The council had approved, curious to see what would happen. She made her way to the training facility. It was a massive space, equipped with equipment from dozens of species. In the center stood 30 recruits, 10 humans, 20 aliens from various species. They all stood at attention as Sarah entered. She recognized some of the species: Klakthar, Trevelyan, Futari. Others were new to her. At ease, Sarah said. I'm Commander Chen. Over the next 6 months, we're going to train together, fight together, learn together. Some of you are stronger than me. Some are faster. Some have better technology. But we're all here for the same reason. We want to protect the innocent. We want to solve problems. We want to make a difference. She walked along the line, meeting each recruit's eyes. This unit is experimental. The council doesn't know if it will work. Humans and aliens have very different ways of fighting, different tactics, different strategies. But that's the point. We're going to learn from each other, take the best from every species, and combine it into something new. A Klakthar raised a claw. Permission to speak, Commander? Granted. Why should we learn human methods? No offense, but your species is physically inferior to most of us. Sarah nodded. Fair question. Human methods aren't about physical strength. They're about adaptability, creativity, persistence. Let me show you something. She walked to a weapons rack and picked up a training staff. This is a simple weapon. Most species would use it to strike hard and fast, overwhelming force. She demonstrated a powerful overhead strike. But humans evolved differently. We learned to use leverage, angles, misdirection. She showed a series of quick, precise movements. Not powerful, but effective. We don't outmuscle our opponents. We outthink them. She tossed the staff to the Klakthar. Try it! Attack me! The Klakthar hesitated, then charged. Its strike was fast and strong, exactly as Sarah expected. She sidestepped, used the Klakthar's momentum against it, and the alien found itself on the ground. See? I didn't beat you with strength. I used physics, timing, your own power against you. Sarah helped the Klakthar up. That's what we'll teach each other. Humans will learn your strength and speed. You'll learn our creativity and adaptability. Together we'll be better than we are alone. The training session lasted 3 hours. By the end, Sarah was exhausted but satisfied. The recruits were starting to understand. Starting to see the potential. That evening, Sarah returned to her quarters. They were small but comfortable. She had decorated them with items from Earth, photos of her family, her grandmother's baseball, mounted in a display case, a small plant that grew despite the artificial gravity. She sat at her desk and opened the files Vector had mentioned. 3 species applications. The first was the Zephix, a gaseous species from a high-gravity world. The second was the Mineral Collective, silicon-based beings who communicated through vibrations. The third was the Wanderers, a nomadic species with no home world. Sarah read each application carefully. The council would ask her opinion tomorrow. What did she think? Did these species belong? She thought about humanity's own application, how close they had come to rejection. How one moment of courage had changed everything. Each of these species had their own strengths, their own perspectives, their own ways of solving problems. The galaxy needed diversity, needed different viewpoints. She made her decision and prepared her recommendation. Approve all 3. Give them a chance. A message appeared on her screen from Ambassador Wei. He was retiring finally, heading back to Earth. But he wanted to say goodbye. Sarah met him at the shuttle bay the next morning. The old man looked tired, but happy. 20 years I've fought for this, Wei said, looking around the station. 20 years of rejections and closed doors. Then you catch one missile and everything changes. It wasn't just the missile, Sarah said. It was timing. It was all the work you did before. You laid the foundation. I just finished the building. Wei smiled. You're kind to say so. What will you do now? Keep working. Keep solving impossible problems. Keep proving humanity belongs here. You've already done that. Wei placed a hand on her shoulder. Now you get to do something harder. You get to help other species join us, shape the future of the Council. No pressure, Sarah joked. You can handle it. You caught a missile traveling at Mach 12. Everything else is easy after that. Wei picked up his bag. Take care of yourself, Sarah. And take care of our future. She watched him board the shuttle, watched it depart for Earth. Another chapter closing, a new one beginning. Over the following weeks, Sarah presented her recommendations to the Council. All 3 species were approved for trials. The Council was changing slowly, becoming more open, more willing to take chances. Sarah's tactical unit completed its training. They were assigned to patrol the border zones where the Devourers had been most active. Reports came back positive. The unit worked well together. Human creativity combined with alien strengths created something special. One evening, Sarah stood at the viewport in her office. Earth was visible again, rotating peacefully. She thought about everything that had happened, everything that was still to come. Her communicator buzzed. A new assignment, a problem that 3 different species had tried and failed to solve. A spatial anomaly that was disrupting trade routes. Sarah read the file and smiled. Impossible problems. That's what humans did best. She grabbed her jacket and headed for the briefing room. There was work to do. Outside her window, Earth continued its eternal rotation, a small blue world that had sent its children to the stars. Not because they were the strongest, not because they were the fastest, but because they refused to accept impossible. And in a galaxy full of wonders and dangers, that might be humanity's greatest strength of all.